Yeah, for some of these other tangles, might be a little complicated to adjust. So it takes some time, some patience to check out, all of them. This goes in here towards the machine. Be kind of cool if it's connected like that. Yep. We can move this bit out. So we can fix them better later, because right now it's still like a sketch scene. But then, yeah, we just have to fill in a little bit more things. So then we have the AC units. Let's call this. Let's call it wall props. So then we can add other things in here. And for this, we maybe will have some electric boxes. And for electric boxes, it's usually small. Like that. And we can snap this onto the wall here. And through references, I see some of the electric boxes actually line up like that. It's kind of weird. Like they have their they have like different units in the house. So for every unit, maybe in this apartment you have like 8 units, and then for each unit you have your own electric box to control your fuse. And then they put them together like this, so it's all lined up and it's easy for the electric company to inspect. And then you have one maybe on top here. And maybe we can even one that's like this. Maybe this is one of the electric boxes controlling that, so it's a little lower here. We can move this, and now we can have another one for the wire. And for the wire, we can just copy one of these out and then move down to wall props, electric boxes, wire, and we can flatten this out by scaling it towards one direction and pressing 0. It flattens it out against that axis. So then we have that, and then this we can make it 0.01, so it's a little thinner. We can see how it looks in a bit. Delete all that. Also do this, scale this way, so it's all nice and flat. So usually it's like that. And you have one that's 90 degree. And it goes around the wall, right? Usually. So we can extend that off to the side, then give it a 0.015, so it's slightly bigger. Maybe even move this higher, or actually let's mirror that, so have it all go into the side here. So then we have additional lines on the wall that points towards our center focus. Then we can push this out like that, and then copy another one, make this a little higher, scale that smaller, scale that slightly. Yeah, so it's all about finding these different elements that we see in real life and adding them into our scene. So then we have some electric boxes going around. We can add some pipes later on the back, because usually you have water running through the AC, and then they have like these water collection system that runs across the wall to collect the water. So it goes around, it collects them onto one single pipe and goes off to the corner of the building, so it doesn't like rain down like droplets of water everywhere. Right, so that's wall props. And then for the street, we can add one for the electric pole. Let's just add a cylinder, maybe reduce that to 16. Extrude that all the way up, because it will be out of our screen, and then we can give it a little. This is usually thicker on the bottom and thinner on the top, but this looks a little wide, so we can grab it and then give it 0.8 and 0.8, so it's around 80 centimeter in diameter. That's about right. And then if you go here and shade smooth, then it's all nice and smooth. And then we can go here and place it somewhere around here, so we have like an electric pole. And for this, we can press G twice to tab it, and then we can add another one here. Usually they have something like that to stop people or cars from running into the poles. They have like these caution tape around. We can give it a little bit of a thickness. Yeah, what I like to do is I like to keep it flat for now, because then we don't have to bother with adding bevels or like additional loops to make it look smooth. And then for that, we can add some planes. So later when we add some signs, we can add it on top of the electric poles, usually in the direction of oncoming traffic, around the height of a person, so it's like that. Then maybe even some here. We can just turn this over, maybe make this a little smaller or slightly bigger, or actually we can make it into into a triangular one, because some caution are triangle. Oops. Like that. So you have like maybe one for careful crossing, and then you have like one for no parking. So then it adds more realism to our scene here. Control S to save. Then, since this is our building, it doesn't have to be so thick. Maybe somewhere here. Now we can take this and Control D and just copy one over. So that will be the building on the side here. We will leave a little space for the alleyway, because then usually you have to have space between buildings due to zoning bylaw and lighting, as well as maintenance. Especially these buildings with lots of AC, they're for maintenance. They're for some program that needs maintenance. Sorry. So yeah, we can dissolve this edge. Take that and just like move this over. Now we can probably delete this for scale. And then regarding the sidewalk, you can grab this. Select this to edge. So it's connected to that. And copy this. And then this can be another texture later. We just, or like, maybe here we have another set of streets. So, we can build the scene however big we want into a neighborhood, in fact. So that depends on how much we want to do. And then for props, we can add another one here. Let's actually use this. And let's put this into props. Just set origin to the middle so we can turn it. And we can delete these. Move this over for scale now. Usually a fence is around the height of, this 1.2 meters, so that people can't easily climb over it. You see it in movies a lot where like people running from police or something, they're like, they jump to a certain height, maybe around like 1.2 meters, and then their hand can reach on the top, then they just pull themselves over and just cross over. So then let's give it a little thickness, 0.03. Now we can mirror this over. And then for this, we can press F so it's connected. Or we can just delete the vertice, even easier. A little higher. I'm just in my head, I'm always having this image of like people running from the police. And then you can go inside a bit. So you have an alleyway. Let's give it a, so it's a little thicker. Wait, 0.035. Yeah, this looks about right. So this will be our fence. That's, we can go back. Oh, actually our fence is rather low. Now this is easily climbable. It's curved like that, and we can now add a plane here. And later we can add the texture in for the fence. But for now, we can just like put it somewhere in the middle here. Okay, like that. So yeah, this is the most basic scene that we can easily block out. Here, camera, we can actually turn this down so we see it better. So that's a scene. That's blocking out the frontal view of our concept. Now if we go here, we can switch this to cycles, GPU render, and then we can check this out in cycles. Yep. In fact, let's go to shading and add in an HDRI map so we get good lighting. So here, let's add environment texture. Control T. And then HDRI Haven. I'm just going to look for a random map so we can see the effect. Maybe like an overcast day, and then we can turn the strength down so it's like nighttime. And we can even add a mixed color, right? We love mixed colors. Then here we can mix in some of the sky lighting. So at night or at dusk, you have this bluish hue. And then this can be 0.02 or 0.15. Always go here to film and then turn on transparent so we don't see anything. Go back to layouts, turn on our render view. Then, here let's push the camera here. I always like to create one called light and camera. So here we have our lights and camera, and then all you have to do is press render in action. And here we can add a spotlight. And then this is our electric pole. Some electric poles also have, like an extension here, so they can add a light. And then for this, we can go to the spotlight. Give this 100, maybe 50. And then find that hue that a lot of electric lights have. Maybe 80 for now. And then for a spotlight, we can change it so that it's shining more or less like how we were planning. So you have like this light that shines, that cuts your composition into like one half in the light and one half in the dark. But then, yeah, we're not gonna add that in. So this is just simple addition. We're gonna do the lighting more intensely later on. But yeah, just and for harder shadow, we can add. For softer shadow, we can increase the radius. So the bigger the radius, the source, the softer the shadow, and the smaller, the sharper it is. Yep. So this is our basic view. And then depending on where we have our camera later on, we might have to add an additional few buildings on the side here in case if our shot is this way, then we can add some buildings here, but that will be for the next class. So for this class, this is our scene. Okay, see you guys next class. Bye bye for now. Okay, now that the main part of our scene is done, we can start, you know, building out on the sides, because in case that we have a building, I mean, in case, sorry, that we have different camera views, for example, this way, then we will have something that's quite empty. That would not be that nice. So then we should start building out the other sides. For example, here we can just start off with different shaped buildings first of all. Like we can do that, and then have this slide off, so we have a building maybe that's facing the, like that, and around this height. And then we can push this in to form sort of like a door. Yeah, it's all about the different varieties that we can create. And we can push this out a little. Oops. And then for the next building over, we can maybe do this. And then we can also have like that. And this one can be a little taller. All these heights can vary, to be honest, or else it'll seem quite monotonous. This is a rather high building. And then for the props section, we can also, you know, make it can add this to the props. And have this along. So this can be sort of like a banner-ish for the storefront. And then this can be added, you know, to the side. We can compose these on different sections, so when you place them together, they can form like a single building. It doesn't have to be completely just like one building, one block. It can be, you know, just, we can make a lot of different props and have them just like put together. For example, here we can also give it a go. Maybe it's a building that looks like this, right? And then we can have all these go over, and we can mirror that on the y-axis, as well as this. So these are actually really quick ways of creating architecture. It's what I've been doing for the past 10 years. So you can quickly block out a scene with this method. So it depends on how like the building would look. You can just, yeah, do that, and then maybe for some parts you can give it more of an indent. Maybe like this part is where the we can select this. Maybe this part is where their stairs are, so it kind of goes inside. I gotta select this. Yeah, so every part has its own purpose in an architecture, but yeah, once you have a variation of like going of indents and extrusions, then you create what seemingly looks like a neighborhood. And now we can extend this even further out. And you can even have another street that perpendicular, so it's more or less like a neighborhood now, like that. It can be a little thinner. The street can be narrower. Maybe it's like a single lane traffic one, right? And then again, we can just take some of our building and then move it off to the side here, because we just want these to fill in the background. No one's really going to be able to see them, just that in case we have a shot like that, it blocks out our view. So that's what we really want. So just have some blocks that go around, and then we'll easily have a neighborhood. And then for this one, maybe we'll add a building on the back here. Oops. Then we can give it a different height. This one can be a rather tallish building. And similarly, we can just copy this to the left and just mirror that. We can just switch up the texture layers so it looks like a different building, or we can just copy this over here so we create variations. And then for this one, we can just lower this. And also have this. So yeah, that's how to create a quick scene. But I think our camera is a little inside the building. That's fine, because this street is actually rather narrow. So we can take this camera, let's make a copy in case we want our original camera. Then we can let me see. Whoop. Sorry, I was moving the wrong camera here. So